What it do, family? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for my absence last week. Had death in the family, and I decided to take a week off to clear my mind and recalibrate my gears before I jump back into it. Um, I want to go over a couple of things today because election time is coming. Election time is here, to be honest with you, quite frankly. You're seeing multitudes of people come out and start campaigning in each and every way possible to black folk. Let me make that clear. They're already starting to campaign in each and every way possible to black folk. The problem is they're not having such an easy time like they've had in prior years. Like they probably would have if the new black media wasn't around, if the black grassroots wasn't around. But what we find is that we're getting the same playbook, but yet they act as if they don't understand why they're losing more and more of the black vote. Why they are falling short, where they feel like, what's going on? We should have these people on a hook. Have them hook, line, and sinker. As soon as we come out and give them the same old rhetoric, they should be falling at our feet. What is going on? And then when you bring your interest to their attention, then they get highly irritated that you would even dare speak on such things. But then they turn right on around and act baffled. When they see that they're losing the black vote. When they see that black folk aren't going for the okey doke. When they see that black folk are more interested in their interest than anybody else's. When they see that this ain't the same old black folk that we were 50, 60 years ago. They get baffled. They can barely put it together. And this is by design. They don't really get baffled. They play baffled. They play stupid. The same way Neely Fuller said white supremacy will play stupid. That's exactly what we, as a people, when we bring our issues to these elected officials, people we elect to be in office to represent our interest. When we bring our interest to these people, they play stupid. They act dumb. They act like we're supposed to play dumb right along with them because they give us a bunch of nonsensical excuses. A bunch of nonsensical excuses. In order to what? Basically, flip us the bird. That's what they do. And they expect us to believe their nonsensical excuse. And when you push back on them, when you hold their feet to the fire, they get irritated, visibly, audibly. They get very irritated. But then they turn around and wonder, what's going on? when they find out that the black votes are declining. Well, let me phrase that. It isn't that they wonder why, because they know absolutely why. They will play like they don't know why. When they're asked in the media and things like that, they will play as if they don't know what's going on, even though we're telling them out of our own very own mouths. They will act as if they don't know what's going on. When the truth of the matter is, all they're doing is cutting off their nose to spite their face. It's cutting off their nose to spite their face. I did a broadcast a few weeks back talking about how America have lost trillions of dollars due to their anti-black racism. And if they were just implement certain policies to attack those areas within the black community, that within the next 5 years, they would be able to add $5 trillion to the national GDP. But they refuse to do so because, not just because of their anti-black racism, but because they will be giving up that leg up that they've always had in this country, that welfare program that everybody have so much of a problem with. They will be giving that up as well. They will be giving up all the free handouts. And they don't want that. They don't want to have to compete. They don't want their children to have to compete. And they don't want our children to be able to compete. That's just what this is. So when we get to situations like this, it becomes apparent why. Diversity numbers amongst delegate triggers alarms at DNC meeting. Well, it's not that hard to see why. When we're speaking about diversity, let's be very clear. We're talking about black folk. Because when you talk about all these other groups, they don't vote overwhelmingly Democrat. When you look at Hispanics, they're split in between Democrats and Republicans. When you talk about Asians vote more Republican than they do Democrat. When you talk about anyone else, LGBTQ, you could be LGBTQ and still vote Republican. Why? Because it's ideologies. It has nothing to do with who you go to bed with. And they understand that. Senior officials at the Democratic National Committee are sounding the alarms that the committee is falling short of their own diversity goals. And they're warning that if current trends aren't changed, the delegates heading to next summer's convention will be too white when they gather next semester to officially renominate President Joe Biden. Too white. When have you ever heard them say that was a problem? I keep looking at these diversity goals in big states like New York, like California, and for some reason, whether it's the African American community, black community, the LGBTQ community, or Hispanic community, the numbers continue to decrease. Donna Brazili told her colleagues at the recent committee gathering in Washington, D.C. It raises a red flag, in my judgment, she said in a follow-up interview with Politico about the delegate plan. And then I tried to find out, what the hell is it? Well, Donna, if you must know what the hell it is, it's things like this, Donna?
Of the Ballot Action Fund made a campaign stop in Jacksonville today. Organizers rallied outside of Mount Olive Primitive Baptist Church to encourage African American voters to get to the polls next election. It's part of their national campaign and statewide Florida tour. News4Jax reporter Brianna Andrews attended the event and has more from organizers about why stopping in Jacksonville was a priority.
It is also here that we witness resilience, unity, and the indomitable spirit of communities coming together to stand by and say, no, we will not be erased.
A message loud and clear from Melanie Campbell, the president and CEO of National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, a key organizer of the Power of the Ballot Action Fund. The group launched its statewide tour to get Black voters to the polls next year. Jacksonville is one of the places where they're doing groundwork.
Tell me why it was so important to come out here to Jacksonville.
Well, we're launching this Power of the Ballot national campaign, and the theme is we will not be erased. And so we're starting 2024 now to get ready for the election. A lot of times our community say you only show up when it's time to vote. So we said this time we were going to come out early.
Salandra Benton, another organizer of the tour and the director of the Florida Coalition on Black Civic Participation, is also advocating for people to get out and vote.
That's your voice. Voting, that's your power. The richest man on election day and the poorest man, the homeless man across the street has the same power on election day. They get a chance to cast.
This is why the richest man and the poorest man have the same power on election day. Do you see the stupidity that they put into our communities? The stupidity that they say to us that we're supposed to just take and internalize and run to the poll and say, yeah, you know, I'm just going to make my voice heard, when in all actuality, us refusing to participate without any type of tangibles is making our voice heard. Is making our voice heard. But yet, we have the same power as the richest man on election day. Then why the hell is our community still in shambles? Someone, please, leave that in the comment section for me. Why in the hell is our community still in shambles if we have the same power on election day as everyone else? Don't worry, I'll wait.
One initiative the organization is taking to get more people to the ballot is by starting with college students. They're going to HBCUs and having students fill out this pamphlet to help get them registered to vote.
I think it's critical that we show not only the state of Florida, but the country that Black folks, brown folks, we have a voice.
What are some changes that you would like to see?
I will.
We need to show not just Florida, but the country that Black people, brown people, we have a voice. We have a voice and we're using it by not rushing to the polls, by not sitting there so willing to give up our vote for no damn tangible. By not being so willing to give up our vote for symbolic gestures. By not being so damn willing to give up our vote because they shame you into doing so. Oh, well, your ancestors died for your right to vote. No, my ancestors died. My ancestors died. My ancestors died for me to be able to live in an equitable and equal society. And that has not happened. My ancestors died for my right to live, not for my right to vote. That was just a bystander of my right to live. And people just talk to you with the stupidest things. This lady here is about to be asked what would she like to see. Let's get her answer from this campaign that they are doing?
See, for one, more control of the who can purchase guns, and just more issues on the violence of gun.
Brianna Andrews, Channel 4.
She's more concerned about issues on guns and who can purchase them. Not the fact that these government officials are allowing people to purchase these guns, whether or not they're legal to or not. These states, whether or not they're legal to or not. And only people that are being regulated are black people. So you want more gun control so that black people have less control in being able to protect themselves. This is interesting. Very interesting. But this is the reason. This is the reason right here why you don't have your base. Because you're sending out nonsense like this. Because you're saying nonsense like the nonsensical BS that Jim Clyburn said. Jim Clyburn running around talking about Joe Biden isn't in trouble with black American voters. I guarantee it. He put a guarantee on that. He said, I guarantee black Americans do not have a problem with Joe Biden. And Joe Biden do not have a problem with black Americans. I guarantee it. Top Democratic rep James Clyburn remains loyal to President Joe Biden. To the point, he says that there is no truth to the belief that black voters are not that eager to cast their vote for Biden this time around. So I don't know what else to call it, but Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said it so elegantly. These people are living in a psychosis. You're living in a psychosis. There is no way in the world that this man believes that. When we ran up on him at his little fish fry cookout, when the brother ran up on him asking him about our reparations and all this other stuff, he got visibly irritated. He got audibly irritated. Why you always fucking with me? I'm the one that started the damn bill. So if we got a problem with you, what makes you think we ain't got a problem with the president who you cooning for? Who you cooning for? It makes no sense. These people literally make no sense. In a recent interview on NBC Meet the Press, Clyburn addressed concerns about Biden's support amongst African American voters. But Clyburn emphasized that African American voters will not stay at home and will come out in support of the president. He emphasized his guarantee that you're going to get your butt off your couch and rush your way to the poll to cast the ballot for the same demon that's been sitting here doing everything for everyone else and literally pushing black people to the back burner, sending billions of dollars out of our country to other countries like Ukraine, pledging billions of dollars, or if you believe one report over the other, claiming that he will give Israel everything they need for this situation. But in one report says he actually pledged billions of dollars to Israel. And now there's other reports coming out saying that, well, no, that's not so much true. He didn't really say that he would, give $8 billion to Israel. But when you read into the report, it says no such press statement has been posted to the White House's website. And Biden did not provide any details about specific aid during his press conference Saturday afternoon. Now, Biden said he has been in contact with members of Congress. When have you ever heard Biden be in contact with members of Congress for the black community to benefit the black community? And directed his national security team to begin discussion with their Israeli counterparts to make sure Israel has what it needs. To make sure Israel has what it needs. And the black community can't even get what is necessary and need, what we need. We can't get anything. But you can send billions of dollars to Ukraine. You can pledge that Israel will have what it needs, which means billions of dollars because it's a war and war is expensive. So what it needs will be billions of dollars. But when you speak about the black community, oh, nobody knows nothing. People are guaranteeing that the black community is going to come out in droves for President Biden. Going back to the other article now, Clyburn, who helped Biden win the 2020 elections by delivering South Carolina, has been serving as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from South Carolina. He has also served as House Assistant Democratic leader since 2023. In his 16th term, Clyburn has served as the U.S. representative for South Carolina 6th congressional district since 1993. This man has been in office since 1993, and his district is one of the poorest districts among the United States. This is what happened with the career politicians. And then when they're done being career politicians, they go ahead and mentor somebody and put them back in the same position, doing the same nonsense that they were doing when they were in that position. These career politicians. When questioned about the potential decline in support amongst African Americans, Clyburn dismissed the notion. He out here dismissing notions, stating that he had observed a strong backing for Biden within the African American community. Like I said, these people are living in a psychosis. That's it. They are operating outside of the realm of reality and living there. They're not just operating, they're living there. They're living outside of the realm of reality. President Biden's lack of strong support amongst non-white voters is extensive, cutting across nearly every demographic and racial category. This includes a 72-11 lead amongst black voters. Biden's numbers are notably lower compared to his standing in the previous election, according to a September New York Times Siena poll. So, Biden's losing votes, he's losing supporters, he's losing all that in comparison to the last election. Biden leads by 74-19 amongst black voters, a significant drop from the last election, the New York Times reported. I would like to get to this part here. When Meet the Press host Kristen Welker asked Clyburn, as you know, in a close election, every single vote counts. And as we laid out, his support amongst African American, Latinos, younger voters has dropped. How do you make sure they don't stay at home, Congressman? And this bumbling idiot, Jimbo Django Clyburn, he stubbornly replied, the article says. Clyburn stubbornly replied, they will not stay at home. We understand what's at stake here. We understand what's at stake here. Well, yeah, we do understand, but the difference is the opposite of what you're saying. What we understand is the opposite of what you're trying to perceive to everyone else. What we understand is that the Democratic Party has been giving handouts to everyone and anyone they can give a handout to. But when it comes to doing something to show the black community that they're actually for the black community, putting investments within the black community, talking about reparations, speaking about things that are necessary for the black community, no. They're not doing any of that. But what they are doing is trying to gaslight us into getting into a booth to vote for a bunch of people who are career politicians who won't do nothing to help our community, but yet they're getting land for everyone. They're getting land for Native Americans. They're spending billions of dollars on illegals, housing them, feeding them, clothing them. They're sending billions of dollars over to the Ukraine. Biden's pledging that Israel shall have what it needs. So we do understand what's at stake. What's at stake is, the destruction of the black community. But that's exactly why we're not going to vote for Biden. Or anybody else who just thinks that they're owed our vote. We've been saying this for so dang long. At this point, it's like beating the drum. Voting is an exchange, not a gift. You want my vote? You bring me tangibles. You bring me policy for my community. You put investments inside my community. You must do something for my community in order to garner my vote. That's how the political system works. And that's how everyone else responds to these politicians. Let's be very, very clear on that. We done gotten to the point where we're saying no. And that's what they hate. That's what they truly hate. So please, please don't be fooled by these articles or these analysts or these reporters who say we just don't know why black folk aren't really enthusiastic about the elections. They know exactly why we ducking out on their ass, because we keep telling them, but they refuse to address our issues. So, with that being said, we refuse to give them our vote.